talking with Ron Sweat, who used to own the Current Creek Cafe, and that's where I first met you. Of course, I only met you a few times. As many people went in and out of there, you probably don't remember me at all. But I talked to you about the Copper Bowl, and also though a little bit about you and working with Jim Phillips when he got that lease to do some treasure hunting on the Indian reservation, and I know that a lot of treasure hunters stopped in at your cafe, and I know some of them that used to do that have passed on now, but anyways, Ron, I don't know, can you talk about when you was with Jim? I know Jim's passed on now.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what you guys was looking for, how the lease and what happened and all that, or how you got involved with Jim, how he got the lease to do some treasure hunting on that, and how he did it, about his camera and all that? I don't know if you can talk about all that, or.
Yeah, I can talk about it. Jim came up first. Reading some of the books got him involved. He's from Texas. He came up first, and they worked a lot around Camas, and they tried to establish the old Spanish Trail back to El Paso, or Santa Fe, not El Paso, Santa Fe. And as most people up here took their stuff back to Santa Fe, then they went down the river and got out and cut across the country over to Galveston, and they shipped out of Galveston, not Mexico. A lot shorter. And the Santa Fe is just a big lazy river that was easy to do. In fact, a lot of the Spaniards up here started rafting down the Green River from the basin area to below Moab, down by Monticello. Then they had a station there, and they'd get out there and cut across. They had things set up good. They had people doing different things. They had the animals there that they loaded back up and then went on over to Santa Fe. And to Galveston. Jim Phillips came back up, and he was staying at the cafe at the lodge, and got to know him, and he got a 60-day contract with the Ute tribe that he could prospect and go anywhere, but he always had to have the Indians with him. And the head of the fishing game and his assistant were the two in charge of that.
Just to even get that had to be difficult. I don't know how he even got that.
Well, he was a talker. See, the Indians, in my opinion, the Indians know that there's caches and quite a bit of gold on their property, but they're very superstitious.
Right.
They don't dare go get it. They've listened to too many of the stories. And Brigham Young has stated that gold was here and left here to be used in the latter days when everything turned bad to fund the Mormon church. And no one else was allowed to have it. And I think the Indians believe that too.
Really?
Talking to them.
Huh.
That if they take it, then something bad will happen to them. But anyway, I was part of the deal with Jim, and we could go on, and the contract was that we could go anywhere on the reservation we wanted to, but we had to have the people with us, which was fine. And just kind of security, if it was done right. Anything we found, we took 10% of, and they took 90, was the agreement, which, if you know, it don't sound like much, but if you find a good cache, it could be a lot of money.
Yeah.
We worked mostly in the Rock Creek area. There's some of the stories about the locations and the caches and the mines up here. You had 3 stories. That there's a big cache by the big pine tree with the top cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a big cache by the red ledges, big red ledges sticking up. Then there was a cache by the stairway going up the canyon. Well, the first one we worked on was just out of Rock Creek a little bit, and those 3 different stories were all one.
Ah.
Up on top, there's a huge pine tree, probably 48 inches across the base of it, that had been cut down years ago with an axe, and the top had been cut out of it. And they tried to burn it, but they just burned it a little bit, and then the rest of it was still there.
Huh.
That was probably the pine tree on that story. Then going down over the hill, from the bottom coming up, the main trail coming up, you got up to a ravine, deep ravine, that went up to the cache site. And interestingly, there was a cross carved into the rock there with the year 1703.
Really? Did you guys get a picture of that, or?
Yeah, that
cool.
I don't have one. Jim had. Well, and I seen it, but the bottom of that canyon had washed as deep as it could, and you just walked up the bottom like steps. That was the stairway. There wasn't supposed to be too many people here in 1703.
Yeah, according to history, there wasn't supposed to be any. I don't think Escalante came to 1776. So yeah, according to the expert historians, there wasn't anybody here until 1776.
Yeah, history is just what it says. His story.
Yeah, I never heard it put like that.
I think that's the way that originated. That word. But with little research, it shows that the Catholic Church sent people across into the area of Canada now with what information they had. And then they come down from Canada into this country. And then right up almost to the cache, that little canyon ends, there's about an 80-foot ledge. And on each side of the ledge, there's 2 great big red pillars that stick up above the top of that ledge, probably, one probably sticks up 30 feet and the other 40. Very noticeable. That's probably the red ledges. Sandstone, hard sandstone rock came around that side of that canyon, and they'd put the ledge, or put the cache under, dug back in that solid sandstone. The rest of it is layered rock, but except for that one. So we went to work on that. We went back in 32 feet and we went between two of the hard ledges where the rock was softer. Perfect example of that's up here by the spring in Deep Creek where that rock's layered and you got soft stuff and hard stuff. And we went back 32 feet and started going down on it. Our contract was for 30 days, you know, and we went looking around quite a bit and testing areas for a couple of weeks. We went back and started down on it to get into the cavern. And the last day we were there, it was in the fall, and then we was going in the backside and then walking from the top down. Easy walking down, tough walking back.
Yeah.
But we took a little generator down there and had lights and drill, small one. We was going down, and we worked going down for about 4 days. It was kind of tough because we could blow it up a little bit using dynamite, but everything settles back down, so you're standing on the stuff you loosened up.
Yeah.
And the last day we were there, we'd blast in there, and then we'd set a fan around in the entryway to blow the smoke out. Wait a while and then go in and work with the headache a lot. And that last day we were there, I stepped across the mouth of the cave, to get the fan and felt something cold on my leg. Didn't pay no attention till I bent over to hold my breath and take the fan back and blow the rest of the smoke out. And smoke was coming out the bottom of the tunnel.
Really?
Totally clear on top. Absolutely clear.
Huh.
The smoke was running out just like a river.
Really?
Out and down off the edge. The air was real cold upside, so we broke into some cold air. The cold air that came out sucked the hot air in on top, and the hot air was pushing the cold smoke and air out. So we finished blowing it out a little bit and went in, and we went about 5 feet deep going straight down. And there was a little bit of cold air coming up and a little bit of smoke still in the hole. So it was just reverse. The cold air was coming up like smoke normally would.
Yeah.
And it'd draw the smoke to it a little bit, and then it'd just get cold and fall and kind of recirculate. So that was pretty exciting. So we cleaned that out and dug down again and blasted again. And they were real light blasts. We didn't dare use
Right.
nothing much hard. And it was the same thing. The cold air flowed out just like a river. And we went back in, and more cold air was coming up, but it was getting late, so we headed out. Then it snowed that night. Probably 3 or 4 inches is all. Our contract was up the Saturday after Thanksgiving, following Thanksgiving, and we couldn't get up there, so we went down on the river to another spot till we could get up there. Then that's the only storm we had.
Mm-hmm.
But the Indians wouldn't let us go back up there.
Really?
They wouldn't let.
Would they say why, or?
Well, they didn't want us to get into it, probably.
Do you think they went back and got into it, or
No.
they just
they're too superstitious.
too superstitious?
And where that was on top, up the canyon, right straight across where you drop into Pigeon Water, was the old mission. And part of the rocks are still there until they started that dam up Rock Creek, Stillwater Dam.
Yeah.
When you went up Rock Creek, you had to cut up on that little old road to get out. And the mission, the big boy. Now the church was the big boy over here. The Spanish, the big boy, or the priest, whatever, was over the Spanish. Spanish were the king's men. The black robes were the churchmen. They were the bosses, not the king. And this church had more money than he did. And so they were the bosses over here. Everybody, like the mission was up at the top there by Pigeon Water. Everybody going in and out of that area had to pass by the black robes. So he knew, going and coming. And just to say how it was, that was the only mission there was here.
Really?
All of the other places that's been called missions, like the one by the Indian Ranger Station going up toward Farm Creek, was Spainman's house. Kingsman is what the old Indian told me. Kingsman's house. All of them were except one. He said only one mission in the whole area. That was it. Everybody had to pass, whether they came up Rock Creek, they had to go up and check in with him or pay the consequences, because he wasn't there by himself either. He had his church boys there that worked for him. All the other missions that we called missions were just the big houses for the king's men on different projects, every one.
Really?
And we went down to Treasure Hill, and then the Indians wouldn't let us go up there, so we kept working on one down there. And Indian come up there one day, see, and then they start stalling us.
Really?
That you can't have a gun or nothing on the reservation. That's federal. That involves the FBI. So they started, the two in charge of the project, Bobby Chapoose and Murray, Cleve Murray, I think his name was, they'd go hunting. Well, they had to have the dynamite and the caps and stuff. One carried the dynamite, one carried the other stuff. They'd just go hunting, so we'd just be sitting there all day.
So you couldn't do anything because they had to have control. They wouldn't let you have it. They had to have control of it.
Their way of life. Is the way they explained it.
Yeah.
So they were stalling us.
But the whole time, there was some interesting things happening, but did they know interesting things was happening there, and then they stopped you?
Yeah.
And so, but your lease was you could go anywhere, do anything, but they stopped you. Okay.
Yeah. They just like up on the big one. That was a big one. That just, you're not going to believe it, but Ron Wapsock brought a detector up there and went in that hole when we started going down, and when he came out, his detector was just going cheap.
Really?
And never did work again.
Really?
Then they brought another one up and it done the same thing. Well, talking with the guy that worked at NASA and was involved in atomic testing and stuff, he said, well, The only thing that would do that to metal
Electronics.
detector would be radiation.
Really?
And he said, and he said, how long ago was this? And told him, and he said, well, you guys be dead. I can't see a thing wrong with you. He said, so it wasn't radiation. He said, but if you're telling me the truth, you was on something damn powerful.
Wow.
And so that's as far as that goes. But it was where the big cache was, and where the Black Robe's place was. He could watch that all the time.
Oh.
He could look across the big canyon and watch it all the time. So for whatever, but we'd never allowed to go back there. Then they started installing us down on Treasure Hill, and where he was there, a conglomerate rock ledge sticks out, and it's got a crack in it where it's kind of settled into the creek. And we were up there one day sitting around the fire, and a pickup pulled up on the other side of the creek, and the old Indian got out and leaned on the fender there looking at us. And I told Jim, hell, I'm going to go across and BS, there's nothing else to do. So I went across and told him my name, and he said, And I said, I didn't quite catch yours. He said, I didn't tell you. So I, just started talking a little bit and stuff, and I said, I went to school with school with a kid named Richard Mountain. And I was hoping to see him up here because this is his area now, game warden. See, and that's how they work it. They can only have so many law enforcement. So they got all these game wardens. They can have as many as they want. That's their law enforcement. Okay.
Do you think these game wardens are watching over certain areas? Or?
Yeah. See, and different families control different areas out there. The tribe, I think, and pretty well convinced of the tribe, and the heads of the tribe don't know much about that stuff or where it is.
In the family?
Because the families will not share it.
Yeah.
The Ben Mountain had been the game warden of that area, Dry Mountain and stuff for years and years. Different game wardens in different areas. Hell, I can't think of his name. Will in a minute. He was over the McAfee area and Pigeon Water area, and he was a game warden. But anyway, that he got his attention then. He said, you knew Richard? And I said, yeah. He said, where you go to school? And I said, Duchesne. He said, yeah, Richard went there. You knew Richard? And I said, yeah, we're pretty good friends, and we were. He said, when did you graduate? And I said, 1962. Yeah, that's when Richard graduated. And I said, you lived then down on the farm just as you come out the mouth of Rock Creek. You bought that from the Ivies, and you lived there then. Yeah, we did. Richard still runs that, and I live down in the comfortable house now. And he was in his 80s then, old for an Indian, because they have a habit of dying younger, it seems like, looking at obituaries and stuff. And so he kind of opened right up. And he said, this is Richard's area now. Richard should be here. But see, Pike was over it with the council when this all took place. Then Stuart Pike, took Richard out of that area. He took the one out of Pigeon Water area and put him into oil and stuff down around Hill Creek area. And Ben didn't like that too well. This Richard's area, Richard should be here. And so, that was a bit scary there too, just thinking about it. So we had quite a conversation there, and I said, well, what do you think's here, Ben? And he said, oh, there's cash there. I said, are we in the right spot? And he said, yeah. And I said, how big's the cash? And he said, and we talked a little bit and stuff, but that ledge sticking out was conglomerate, and it had cracked a little bit and was leaning out years and years ago. I said, how did the Spaniards go in here? He said, they went down in the water where its pool is there. They went down and back. He said, see that big crack? And I said, yeah. And he said, there's a real heavy red clay that they went back under this ledge. And that ledge is just settled into red clay and cracked out. Then back when they got by the bank more, it was better dirt and some rock. I said, well, how did they do all this work in the water? You can only hold your breath a short while. He said they did it in the winter. Right there beside the ledge, see where all that sandy stuff is? And I said, yeah. And he said, that's where they had their fires, where they burnt the willow and that red willow, river birch, the red willow and stuff, and charcoaled them to do the shoring with under there. He said they had to get under a big red rock under there, like iron rock, like out in the flats here. It's a big rock. They had to go down under that. That was the hardest. And he said, but that's where the booby trap is. You get down in there and can't get through right there. You move the wrong rock, you're going to stay there. That rock weighs about 2 tons probably. He said, but then they come back out and went into the mud and went against part of the original ledge. And he said, that's where gold is. And I said, how much gold? He said, oh, maybe 10 bars. And I said, how big a bar? And he said, oh, pretty big, maybe 100 pounds. And I said, well, 10 bars ain't a lot. It's be nice to have, but it's not a lot. And he says, he kind of laughed and says, well, that's the dummy. He said, the tunnel ends right at that big rock. He said, but you go around to the right and the wall looks exactly like the rest of it. He said, look just like the rest of it. That's the way he put it. And they went around on the backside of that rock and put the rest of the gold in and then fixed the side so it looked the same. He says, that's where the rest of the gold is. And I said, how much around there? And he said, oh, maybe 110 bars. And, when we talked about different things, he told me, that's where I learned there's only one mission. He says, all you guys call every old place a mission. He says, that's where the king's men lived. He said, only one mission here, only one big king's boy, but he had a lot of little king's boys with him. I said, well, how about that one? Then that one up out on the edge of the flat there a little bit by the ranger station is not a mission. He said, no, that's Kingsman House. He said, Most of them was right around here too. See, now you just crossed the bridge there, going up the canyon at Treasure Hill, and the little road took off. And went out through the flattening up that canyon. That's where it was first, is up that canyon on the shoot off to the right. On up that canyon, and on the left side of it's where the mission was. And before they built that road on up Rock Creek, you had to come out by that mission and go back down where they put the highway, but into Rock Creek. But he said where you go up, where you guys were first. He said that rock foundation there is big man's house, king's man's house. So and then there's one over where you go up that canyon where you at, another one there. He said, and then just back behind where this road goes up on Dry Mountain, just over the hill where that water is, there's two there. And there's there. I said, all right, what's all them little holes dug in the ground hill there like foxholes? His king's men dug them. When Indian finally run them out of here, they dug down there fighting. Then he mentioned some of the others too, and there's quite a few kingsmen's houses up there. But down with Sadie's, that canyon going up across from Sadie's, there's one there. And then we got on the subject of when the Indians finally run them out. And that was about 1843. See, so when Brigham came, there was stuff laying all over.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, how did the Indians finally do that? And he said, well, all the time Spanish kill us, but then when we kill some of them, they come and try to kill all of us. Said, so Spanish was in here heavy, all over then, and we sent runners out. Now see that you got the different tribes out here, and I think Ben was the Uinta tribe. That's why they don't get along there.
Oh, really?
They've been enemies way back. And you got the Uintas and the White Rivers and Young Capagres, and they're three separate bands. And the Uintas is not really the Ute tribe. But they are now. The government said they were, but here, but the ones farther north.
So they were part of the Shoshone?
Yeah.
Shoshone? I heard that, this was the Shoshone reservation, but the government got it wrong and gave it to the Utes, or this was the Shoshone
big reservation. So
territory.
You're all Utes, and this is where you got to go.
Yeah.
You know. But I learned a lot from him that day. There was a King's Man's place down in the mouth of Rock Creek that we thought was a mission. He said the only other building here besides King's Man and the church was a school that they built down up on the ridge east of Rock Creek. He said it's still there, that there's going to teach the Indian white man's ways. So that was an old school. The Spaniards was going to do that. So that part was interesting. Only one mission, according to him, and he showed.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
In fact, when I mentioned him, what about this mission here, he got irritated with me. But he was good to talk to, and he told me a lot. See, and then the Tuesday before, I talked to Ben there. I said, well, when they put that cache there, said, how did they do that under the water, and especially in the winter? You said they done it in the winter. And he said, in the winter, they lined it with rocks around this pool. They lined it with rocks and brush, and then it froze. And didn't let any water through. They wasn't working in the water. And he said, and then when I come up here, there's still them rocks there.
Ah.
And he said, too many white people got wondering why them rocks was there like that wall around that pool. He said, so I had to come up and scatter them out a little bit. And he said, you can still see there are a little more, too many there, and there was. And
so was it the Spaniards that put this cache in there, or the Indians?
Spaniards.
The Spaniards.
Spaniards. Okay. And in fact, they had a bit of a smelter on around toward McDaniel's farm. There was remnants of a little smelter there, so they did some smeltering there too. But there, I got off the subject. They're just over the hill going up that road onto Dry Mountain. There's a little spring there, and there was 3 Kingsmen's houses there. And all the miners and them, when they left, had to come down that area and up past the Kingsmen, or the churchmen. So right in that area, there was one at the mouth of the canyon over at the Pigeon Water. There was one just as you leave the road at the Pigeon Water, and there was 3 on the Dry Mountain side. So that's kind of a big meeting place there too. And they probably smelled it quite a bit.
So there must have been quite a few mines around that area then.
Oh, he said a lot. Well, what the Indians done too is, but see, we took a track hole. I keep jumping too much. We took a track hole in there the last Tuesday. Our time, they had put our time to 5 o'clock Wednesday before
your lease ran out?
Lease ran out Friday, Saturday. That moved it up to 5 o'clock Wednesday.
Ah.
Made
Made it
contract
impossible.
means nothing.
Huh.
Signed contract means nothing. It's just what they say is their contract, changeable anytime.
Huh.
So we got from that D&G, I think it was, had them bring a big crane up there, and we set up, and seeing it was in our contract, any mess we made, we had to clean.
Yeah.
Well, we made a hell of a mess there, and they had us knock down a tree so they could walk across the creek and not get their feet wet on that tree. And we dug it out that day, and that ledge was cracked. Part of it, the face, it was cracked as it came out to a V into the water. It was a heavy red clay under it, and we hit the big heavy red rock, just like Ben said was there. We dug back into that heavy clay and pulled their lagging out. Still charcoal well from the size of my thumb to
Really?
4 inches.
So you was getting into stuff.
Yeah, well, and where that sandy part was, where he said that they had the fire going and they charcoaled their wood.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 feet down, we hit their ashes there.
Huh.
Dug them out. So he's right there.
Yeah.
And we got down deep enough that the beam on that track hole wouldn't go past the rock and dig that mud out. See, it was hitting. We'd had to dig down in the river so we could get back under it.
Yeah.
Which they okayed.
Really?
But the thing of it is, that Wednesday, the last day there was Bobby and Murray and 7 pickups with 3 game wardens, R4 to a pickup. Young guys. guns everywhere.
Really?
Just sit there looking at us. So in my own opinion, I don't think we'd ever left there with any gold.
They figured you was close and it was time for you to get out, and if you found it. Huh.
And they weren't too talkative either. I said hi to 2 or 3 of them. They would, didn't hear me. From me to you.
Really?
But, so it was a little touchy. Well, it was about 2 o'clock that day. We either had to dig down or quit. I stood out on the bucket and tried to shovel a little with the shovel, and that's the worst red clay I ever seen. You could stick the shovel in 2 inches and couldn't pull it out.
Wow.
And I told Jim, I'm going home. I don't want to find any gold. See, and if we found gold in that allotted time under the contract, then it give us full run of the reservation.
Oh.
But we always had to have a person with us.
Right.
And they didn't want that either.
Yeah.
Of course, it wouldn't have mattered because, when we was almost into the one up the canyon.
And they shut you down.
And they wouldn't let us go back till we finished the one we started on the creek. And that's the only time it snowed.
Huh.
And then we got stalled there. Couldn't do nothing much without the dynamite. And so I told Jim, I'm going home. All we got to do is find a nugget. That's gold. And I said, I don't want to find a nugget.
All them guys, guns,
Look close at all of that there. I'm kind of a little bit scared. I said, you're riding with me today. I'm going home. You can stay here if you want. And he talked for a minute and says, well, I think I'll go with you. So he just gave the sign to the operator, we're done. And Bobby came over and said, what are you doing? I said, we're going home. We got about 2 hours left of our contract because it expires at 5 o'clock. You moved that up. We're just going to clean your mess up here. We're going to push this hole back in. No, you leave things the way they are. I said, no, that's not in the contract. We got to clean it up. We're going to take that tree out of the creek. We're going to clean this all up. No, you leave it the way it is.
Really?
So we left it the way it was.
Huh.
And me and another kid that had worked with us a little bit on that, we went back in that next summer. They'd never touched it. And it was interesting because the water was all clear then, and that pool was still there, but about every minute and a half, a big, huge bubble of air had come up.
Really?
So it was sucking air from somewhere with an opening in that.
Yeah. Huh.
Had to be. There would be a big bubble and then a smaller one, then nothing. For about a minute and a half, and then they'd do it again.
Wow. So you think that's the area that they talk about that was the water trap mine in Rock Creek that supposedly somebody swam under and found statues, gold bars, all kinds of things? Or
That's up right where you go up on.
So the place you're talking is a different area.
Farm Creek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're down at Treasure Hill,
Oh,
where the bridge crossed the road.
Yeah.
Up above Sadie's.
Okay.
Where they got them statues and stuff is up just below where you go up Farm Creek, out of Rock Creek. Is it right up in there?
She mentioned Pigeon Water. He was in that area, and supposedly, or maybe I've heard that there was something ancienter or older than Spanish there. There's different types of symbol than Spanish that old, what's his name, found there in Pigeon Water? Tom Foote. You know anything about things older than Spanish or?
Oh, there was Spanish was the latecomers. In my opinion, and I think there's a lot of history that'll kind of prove it. The Spanish came here on knowledge from the Catholic Church, because at that time the headquarters for the Catholic Church was in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
That caused a big, terribly hard feelings between the king and the Pope when they moved it to Italy, because he wanted to stay there. So they, through the information they had, they came here with information looking for the stuff.
So you think it's even older than maybe Aztec, or you think it could be part Aztec, or you think it could have been something
probably
from
before Aztec, because the first ones here were the Egyptians. Now that probably can be proven.
So I have been
here first. In fact, my dad knew a lot about it.
Really?
Told me that.
So what do you know about that? Because
Creek one day.
there has been some Egyptian artifacts found. I don't know about specifically around here, but I know in
There's a metal belt found up in that little canyon by the dam. It's called Rough Canyon. That's what we called it. There were worse names. There's a little mine up in there too, I think, and they found a metal belt up there that's supposed to be Egyptian. The plate you mentioned is way, way, way before Spanish. It's got all the symbols of Mu on it. So I'm wondering, what was it doing here?
Yeah.
That plate, and the statues. There was a statue of a woman in green jade in the place you just mentioned. It was 18 inches tall, green jade, and they said it was the Virgin Mary, but it wasn't. That was probably made long before she was born. And other stuff.